Here goes nothing. Yeah, like you have to like copy this here, paste that there, accept this here, go into that phase, then accept it, something in. No, we're not.
Yeah, we are. I even see it on YouTube. Hi.
Okay. All right. So we're live. So this is an experimental phase, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on YouTube. We're doing basically the same thing that we did before. We're going live from Zoom, but I wanted to schedule our meetings because more people can join us when they know like when we're going to go live. So here it is, and let's hope it works out. It has a lot of tech stuff involved, but I hope it's going to be worth it. Okay, so today's topic will be diving deep into the unknown, since this has been like a main topic for pretty much everyone in the past few years, like all the conditions and the collectively agreed upon circumstances that we have experienced in the past few years. Oh yes, in high vibration, we'll have some amazing special effects going on her so that's a thing too. Okay, so yeah, like in the past few years, most of us we collectively experienced these conditions which have pushed us more further in our path of evolution, and basically amplifying all our fears in the worst way possible for most of us. So if there were like many unresolved issues in our lives, they were definitely brought up in some capacity in the past few years, and also right now as well. And that's basically what I want to talk about. And also before we start, I have written down a nice little note about like fears and basically the fear of the unknown. And it's like something that we've been struggling with as a race for a long time. And that's like a paralyzing factor, I think, for all of us, like in moving forward in life, because like, hey, like what will happen if I do that, or if I won't have the conditions that I have right now? And that basically that fear of the unknown is the gatekeeper to the next level in life. So yeah, just like a video game.
Right.
Okay, so thank you, Higher Vibrations, for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're both wearing black for some reason.
We match.
Yeah, we're in uniform. Okay, so yeah, like regarding overcoming our fears, have you been experiencing something lately, or do you wish to share something?
Very much. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. This is a great topic. I'm really impressed with this. At this time, especially, the timing couldn't be more perfect. You know, the easiest way to understand what I'm doing, and if I flake out, I apologize. You could probably still hear me. If you need me to, let me know and I'll come back. I'm just having some cool magic eye. Remember the magic eye posters? That's what it looks like when it's happening. I think it's like you're focusing on something too closely, like fear. When we focus on something with a little bit more intention or you know, deliberate focus on something, that is what occurs. That is one of the most, you know, important understandings when it comes to manifestation, right? And so we have taught ourselves that the worst case scenario will happen because most of us have this way of thinking, of doing things that we plan for the worst case scenario, and then it occurs because we continually manifest it in our minds. When we're in this universe of God is the most perfect love, the most perfect, most beautiful love, and the opposite of that is the other side of that spectrum is fear. And close to that, it's like shame, guilt, and things like that. And most fears have to do with being afraid of not getting something that you.
Yes, like basically the ego mind coming to the surface, because like that's the survival instinct, the ego mind. The ego mind is like responsible for making sure that we don't get hurt, that we have our needs met in this reality. And hopefully we'll have high vibrations back soon. Hello.
Hello.
And you're back. Okay.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what's happening.
I was talking about like the ego mind is the one which is responsible for our well-being here on planet Earth. And basically all the fears, like you were talking about the fear of our needs not being met in this reality. And like that basically comes from our survival instinct.
Yeah, exactly. And the ego mind is
we
that
can't
very
hear you,
thing.
higher vibrations. Can you do something with your microphone, maybe?
It says it's working.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay, so I will continue the topic of the ego mind assisting us through surviving, or while high vibrations comes back, I will also give a shout out to everyone. Thank you for joining us in this live event. I'm broadcasting from Transylvania and sending much love to you from Transylvania. And now we would like to try out, we don't have as much latency in the chat. So maybe write in the chat box where you are from, and many hugs to all of you. And if you have any types of questions or you wish to share something, you can do it in the chat box right now, or if you're watching the replay, you can do it in the comment section, and we will do our best to respond to it. And I hope that higher vibrations is, you don't have audio.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can't hear you.
No?
Oh my God. Okay, so hello, Kimberly. She's from Tennessee. Kimberly can hear her? Seriously?
Kimberly can hear me.
Okay. I can hear you too. Please say something.
Hello, 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 hello.
Oh, I can hear you. Okay, there was something wrong with my laptop. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Yes. The ego is there to ensure our survival, and so anything that our ego isn't accustomed to, familiar with, used to, will try to keep us from doing that thing, because the odds of survival in doing something that you don't know are slightly diminished compared to something that you know what's going to happen, right? And so even if we are existing in the most miserable state, the most miserable place, we know what tomorrow is going to be like, and a lot of us will perpetuate in that way for quite a while. I had done that for a long time.
I've done it too. I'm still doing it.
Right. In the most miserable, you just get, I can deal with this. I can handle this. I know what this is going to be like. Not realizing that we're actually choosing to be in misery, and that it's not that we're making the choice to have something better or whatever. And so in that, remembering that, it's okay. You're not failing if you go to the fear place. I do all the time, especially we're having these anxiety things come through, weird ascension symptoms where you're having heart palpitations or whatever. There's gonna be that initial startle, you're gonna have that. And so keeping that in mind, to be gentle and kind with yourself, will also help you to move away from the fear. The more that we're being stressful and hard on ourselves, the easier it is to go into that fear paradigm. I don't know how much you heard before, so I don't know if that all made sense together, because I was in and out for a bit, but.
No, it was okay. Yeah, what we both said kind of tied in together, so it was perfect. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And yeah, we're going to have a full moon, I think on Sunday.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, I'm going to publish the message that I've recorded for it from my guides. And basically what the main topic of it is diving deep into the unknown. And basically the unknown will be a constant factor in our lives, however far you stretch in evolution. You can gain a deeper understanding of things, but still there's going to be a lot that you will not know or not see. And basically the only way to overcome that fear is to make the unknown your friend. And instead of seeing it as something to be afraid of, try to shift that vibration when it comes up in your mind. Try to shift it into curiosity. The great unknown holds a lot of potential for many, many positive things as well. The unknown is a place where you can grow, where you can learn and do new things and create unlimited things that you can imagine. So it's time that we shift it before we move forward, because I think the more we move forward on the timeline that we are in, the more things get amplified. So if if we still hold some, I know, like belief systems that are like very much of the old earth, like they're going to be amplified very much so. And I think they are right now for many of us. And life just has this wonderful way of shoving it into our face that we still have something to work on.
Right.
Because like this is really out of alignment with you, and like you should really look into this right now.
Yeah.
And like this fear is like, I think, a main factor for all of us, since we've been brought up in society of like constantly being in a state of uncertainty and not feeling safe and protected. Like that's what media is all about. It's like the world is ending every other year, and even entertainment is about that conditioning as well, of not being safe, of you being in constant peril, or there's something over the corner that you should be afraid of. And yeah,
right.
And it goes so deep, but now it's a great time to really rip out those roots and transform it.
Right. And you brought up some really great points. I just kind of wanted to add to it, in that, also looking into the unknown with excitement, that it's one of those things where everything present that's coming in, that's moving through and entering our ability to experience. Not that it's like, hey, it's here now. It's that we're raising our vibration up to meet this stuff that's already been here, supporting us and feeling and in this place of love. And as we move to it, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. Some of it are growing pains. Those ascension symptoms aren't just physical. There's also this emotional, this, healing stuff that we're doing in order to leave that stuff behind, so we can move this to this higher vibrational state. And the other point, this is a message I started getting really strongly recently. I get Archangel Michael and Mother Mary coming together these days. There's never one by themselves any longer. And it's just this partnership of balance. And sometimes Christ consciousness comes too. And so it's like this. And that message is, insecurity is the greatest illusion of this experience. It is the very fabric of the matrix. Without insecurity, all of these other things that we find ourselves anchored into the matrix experience. The matrix is the word that we're using to explain this false reality that we've just kind of come to accept around us. And also manifesting that in our moments, creating it by choice, and so, and that insecurity, that belief in, I need to do this to survive, or if I don't do this, something bad, there's a consequence, and that type of thing, I'm not safe feeling, is the greatest lie of all that everyone's bought for thousands of years, I guess, like, I don't know for sure, a long freaking time, and so now it's that realization and feeling into it. So what's the solution for me is, we all have that. Guardian and I talk about it all the time as like a joke. We're the best lie detectors. And that ability to discern this space right here where you feel if something's true or not, your higher heart spot, you can feel it. You can feel if something is true. And so feeling into these energies, you also get to feel what they feel like. So what's coming through, does it feel scary? Does it really? Does it feel like something bad is going to happen? Really? Not talking about what it feels like right after you turned off the news, which I don't suggest that we do. Honestly, I don't watch the news any longer at all. I'm talking about that. What's it feel like right here? And it feels like love. It feels like hooray, celebration, encouragement. It feels like you're almost there. The other thing that came through just yesterday, I think, was that the salmon run, when the salmon run, they change. They live in the same place for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, they have this huge alteration in body and mind. And they turn bright orange. They get this massive bump on the back of their on their back. They get these tusks, these teeth that like poke into their eyeballs, and they just get angry. And for some unknown reason, they are compelled to go against the stream, to go upstream for the first time in their lives. And they don't know why. And I love watching the salmon run. It's a very peaceful thing for me. I tend to be at the end near to the pool, watching them go and just come on, because you know that they've been moving upstream against the current this whole time. And it's such a beautiful and sad experience, because often these fish, they're almost there. They're literally, I can see from my perspective, like our higher selves, like our guardian angels, and all of these people that are helping us can see you're almost there. And that's that encouragement we're feeling. They're saying, dude, you're almost there. Don't give up. You can take a breath in 3 minutes. I promise. Just 3 more minutes, and that's where we all are right now as a collective group. We're at that 3 more minutes. You're right there, and just because we can't see it. And so that's why I suggest strongly that you feel this, feel it here, and you'll know where you're at, that we're okay. And this unknown stuff, we may not be able to see it ahead of the current and the rocks ahead, but it is glorious and it is awesome. And it's beautiful. And I went on a tangent, but that was coming through a little bit too. And this part right here, by the way, if you struggle with that, allow when you do meditation and breathing in the light through your crown chakra, try breathing here. Breathe that God's light down in there, and it will kind of make that a little bit more, the barriers will kind of break off a bit for you. Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. Yeah. Yeah, like that tension can also come up because like there's some kind of resistance blocking you from reaching a higher state, and like your body's trying to let you know that there's still something here that you should clear out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like regarding that was a beautiful analogy, and like regarding the overcoming fear of the unknown. Like the way I see it, I bet like many of you know Star Trek, and the whole theme of Star Trek is like going beyond the boundaries of what you already knew and like exploring the great unknown. And like I think like that's a beautiful illustration of like how we should approach it, with like excitement. It's like an adventure of discovering new things about ourselves, about the universe, and all together. And it doesn't have to be a scary experience, basically. Like there are a lot of things out there and also within ourselves that we're trying to avoid also. But yeah, like I would say that I think like in majority, like the good and exciting stuff are in a huge majority. And of course there are like things that probably should be avoided.
Right.
In life, and I don't know, like in the universe, because like it's not for us or it's not of our vibration. But hey, like yeah, like we're good lie detectors, and just feel what feels right and go with the flow and see where you end up.
Exactly. And feel through it, and using that discernment, practicing that discernment takes a while. And all of these things that we're talking about, it's a little bit at a time. We practice it, and so the other thing about the unknown is the example of leaving behind your dilapidated house too. Like there's that mourning, whether or not we want to admit it. Most of the time we've been in this density for a very long time. This is our home, this is our familiarity, this space. Just like you were saying before, the unknown is the opposite of knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, and the familiarity of that. And so as we move on to that beautiful place that maybe we haven't seen exactly yet, we know we're moving to a better place. Then there's the where we're leaving behind, you can't even climb the stairs without falling through, and the pipes poison your water and all those things. That's still been your home, and so allowing yourself to be okay with feeling that mourning experience. If we don't feel when stuff comes up, we're just imprisoning it anyway, and we're not doing ourselves any favors,
Yeah,
and
it's
so
going to come up again.
Exactly. So allow yourself to, take your time. And that's the other point to be made too, is that I keep getting, there's no rush. You're not going to miss a train. If you're here, if you're watching this, you're on the train. We're just trying to figure out we're basically souls with dementia that have been gotten to a point where we're able to get onto this train, and we're still looking around, what's my name? We really are, and these higher beings, these energies are trying to assist us to recall who we are and where we are, and in the most gradual way possible. And that's the last most important point that I've been getting the past couple of days too, is reminding me again that all this is a trickle for a reason. If it was more less than gradual, more than as gradual as it is right now, then we wouldn't get to it would be harder for more people. You know, it wouldn't be as not just efficiency, but the difficulty with it. I keep seeing that image from that movie, The Matrix, when he's gonna pop, you know, when Neo got turned on a little too late in life kind of concept. Not that we'll pop, though. When faced with too much, often we recoil and move away from the experience, you know, and so that's why it's happening as slow as it is, you know, and so allowing yourself that patience and that self-love enough to be okay with, you know, taking your time is awesome too. So
yeah, like most of the people probably are watching, if you haven't awakened maybe last year, most of us had relatively smooth ride, or at least we had the luxury of some time to like come to terms with things. Like we had some time to digest new information and also to cope with the new way we see the world and exist together. But many people are awakening or have been awakening recently don't really have that luxury. Like it's like a crash course on like catching up with all the stuff that have already happened. And yeah, it can be very challenging too. But yeah, like even in that case, like keep to the basics, find your center, like be grounded and just like do what you can each day and you'll be fine, like in my opinion. Like exactly. That's the best thing to do, in my opinion. Okay. And also like Allison had a question. Have you seen it? I pinned it in the chat box. Like, you are the Ascension Symptoms expert. Check it out
if you'd like.
Okay.
Her comment says, is anyone having unexplained health issues? I've been having a sciatic nerve pain for over a month with no injury or explanation of why. I'm normally very healthy, so it's really throwing me off. And that is what we've been calling Ascension Symptoms. That's actually the basis of my channel. My YouTube channel is discussing these things, these variety of things. And so to break it down in the briefest format that I can is that for the longest time, science has been telling us that 90 to 95% of our DNA was junk, right? They just threw a bunch of garbage in there and they're like, whatever, we don't know what to do with that. Here you go. Surprise, surprise. It's actually, well, at least you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Surprise, surprise, it's actually dormant DNA. And that dormant DNA, you know, we've all had this whole, everything we needed for the recipe to be in this higher experience. And so as this DNA turns on now, when everything's ready for it and everything's in alignment for it, then we're having these ascension symptoms. Our body's undergoing a transformation.
Yeah, like we're evolving, like not in generations, but in a single lifetime.
Yes. And the impression that we get from that is that this is the first time that's occurred in a single lifetime concept, where the ascension happened in such a rapid, compacted way. And as that's occurring, we're having these really weird physical and emotional and spiritual and all kinds of stuff experiences, you know. And so one of those is this sciatic nerve kind of concept that people have been talking about. I actually had it for a minute too. It was so brief though. I didn't really spend some of the things that happen. When they fade away, I assume that I forget about it, you know, and forget to add it to the list. And there's a huge list. I actually have a video that I just recorded this morning and I haven't edited yet, that I'll be posting in a couple of days to have that available for other people. One of the things that you can do to help yourself through that is to do grounding kind of stuff when involving soil, dirt. If you bring dirt into the house, if it's cold where you're at, that's what I do. And just play with it with your hands for 10 minutes a day, or 5 minutes with put your feet on top of it for 5 minutes a day. It has this, I'm not sure if you've heard of the ionization, but there's junk, there's static that we don't need, that our body needs to give to earth. And then there's also minerals and things that our body needs. Turns out recently science or medical science or psychiatric science have said that that's a thing. They're now saying it's true. And they're calling it earthing. So if you'd like to research any of it, earthing, just earth and then ing. It's a very useful practice. There's a lot of other things, but increasing your water intake, allowing yourself, your body's telling you something, a lot of something, and it has for a long time. For example, I spent a good portion of my life always having antacids around because of the diet that I kept, and like, it was just normal. I eat this poison, my body's saying it's poison because it's trying to reject it. And so instead of stopping eating that thing, I would take this medication in order to not feel the symptom. Well, there's other things like that we have done throughout our lives that have just been covering up the symptom when the symptom is telling us something. Your body's saying, this is not in harmony with me, or asking you for something in particular, and some of the physical sensations that we get as our body reminding of us of the emotional attachment to that organ. Look it up. What emotion is related to my liver or my back, and you will find this thing it's the best astrology you could ever do, in my opinion. It's like,
yeah,
you read it and you're like, oh my goodness, you're right. I haven't been dealing with any of this, and it's just your body saying, hey, deal with this now. So there's a lot more to it. I'm not going to take up the whole time talking about it in these Guardians channels. So
yeah, but it's an awesome topic. Maybe we could talk about that also later. We also had that topic kind of in our Patreon community, but I'm not an expert in it. It's an awesome topic, and if you have this knowledge of like the secrets of the body and like which part means what, and you also have this, I learned it from QHHT, that like the left side of the body, if you have some kind of problems in the left side, like that's the past you, like maybe past lives or childhood traumas or something in the past. And like the right side is something that you're currently working on or struggling. Usually that's what it means. But yeah, like your body is always telling you something. Like it needs a lot of stuff. And yeah, like we just kind of suppress some of it or like take it for granted. Oh, like that part of me is always aching, so I don't even pay it attention anymore. Just
right.
I drink something and I don't feel it and I don't pay any attention to it. So it's going to get worse.
Right.
Or it's going to come out somewhere else, so you can pay attention to it even more. So yeah.
Exactly.
Pay attention to your body, people. Yeah. And yeah, like the sad thing also regarding fear, that as a society, like we've been conditioned also to not to listen to ourselves, like to detach from our intuition, from our gut feeling, and also of course what our body's telling us to do, or like what it needs, and like what is the current state like globally is like, I need someone else to tell me what my body is trying to tell me. Like
Yeah.
whenever you can just have like a direct connection with your own body and
Right.
resolve it very much more quickly and efficiently.
Yeah. And it takes a little while to create that dialogue, that language, understanding to your body because of that. And that's, it took me a long, I'm still figuring it out, and I kind of look at it now as I'm learning this dialogue with my body, I'm also approaching it as if I am creating a relationship with a broken relationship with a child in a way. This body, I've not been kind to her. I've not, throughout the earlier part of my life in particular, I was unkind, and so there's a rapport that needs to be built there, in order to really get this flow of understanding of information that moves through. So I don't know, it's something that really helps. And adding to that, I saw someone ask a question about like the energies that are coming in, technology and stuff that interferes with us, and there's a variety of stones that are useful for that. Organite. Guardian has this sleeping pod one.
Oh, let me get it out of my pocket.
Thank you. Mine's on my modem, so.
Okay. So basically it's organized. It has black shungite in it. That's why it's so dark.
Right.
So theoretically you should sleep with this, but I always have it in my pocket since 2020. It's always on me. It's really good. Yeah.
It's the same stuff that those pyramids are made out of, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think you were also like talking about this whole ionization process. I think they also help with that too. Right. Like if you have this charge inside yourself and also around you, like they're really good in like dissolving and transforming that. So if anyone's interested, just on a side note, they're like passive harmonizers. I think that's how they're called. Yeah. So basically like they pull in the negative stuff or something that is not good for us, and they transform it and like spew it out again. It's like almost like air or water filters. Like the water goes through the dirty water goes through the filter and comes out clean on the other end, basically. Right.
Exactly. And I love proof. I'm still that person that occasionally validation is helpful. And I've heard of and seen examples where people put pieces of that in their paint and then actually paint their walls with it. And their cell phones cannot get any kind of reception. No one can call or text or anything like that. It's really a really powerful thing. And you can feel it. You can feel the energy changing. There's also the smaller versions that are like the medallions. The guardians has yeah. And they seem, this little teeny thing seems like it's not really, what's that gonna do for me? You'd be surprised. It's very powerful. And so and there's a variety of other things that we can do just energetically speaking in meditation and stuff, where we are moving that energy through us and guiding us, using Epsom salt in your baths. If you don't take baths, do foot soaks with some Epsom salt in it, just a little bit, and that ionization process. Another thing that I've kind of picked up as a habit, when we have a lot of solar flares, I fill up my bathtub a little bit, like halfway, and put any kind of salt in there. Because I don't live near to the ocean, I don't get that salt water. That it ionizes the experience, and it makes the ascension symptoms during solar flares still happen, but they're just easier. There's more ease to it. So it's another method.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said that you can do these ionizations and like working on yourself with meditation or sound bowls or some kind of practice. But that's like great, and you can do awesome work with it, but you can't do it all day long.
Right.
But you can always have this on your chest or that thing in your pocket, and it's like passively it's doing its thing in the background even when you're not even thinking about it. And like I was super skeptical too about it, and I was like, hey, like I can order a sleeping pod and see how it works. Right. And I ended up buying 4 pyramids. Yeah. I definitely felt the difference when I started to like touch it and it was in my pocket. And I felt a very strong shift in my body when I first got it in my hand, the sleeping pod. And I kind of had to discover that life doesn't have to be as difficult and crappy. Like, I was feeling very crappy energetically before that. I mean, I still have those days, but it's not that difficult. But when I first got it in my hands and I had it in my pocket, like I absolutely should feel that something was happening in my body. Like things were like moving out and in and rearranging themselves. And I remember I didn't have a pocket in my pants, so I had that like warmer thing that you can go do sport with. So I put it in that. So it was like around my belly, I think, or in the guts area. And I went to work like that. I didn't pay any attention to it. And during like 20 minutes, I felt this odd tingling sensation in my belly and my guts. And I just had to go to the toilet very quickly. I don't know what it did, but it was like some kind of catalyst for maybe like cleaning out stuff. I'm not sure, but it came very quickly.
What the sense I get from it, what's actually occurring is that it's we're in a murky water. There's like mud in there, right? And what it feels like to me is it's just moving some of the mud out of the way so you can work more efficiently. You know, like if you if you don't have access to these things, you're going to be just fine. You can still do it. It's just not as easy. That's not even the right word. I can't think of the correct word for it. It removes a layer to make things happen a little bit more with a little bit more ease. And so if you don't have access to, there's a lot of crystals that's something else too, is this organite, it's self-cleaning, and all of the crystals and stones that I use, you know, I bury them.
With them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you clean them with salt, put them in the moonlight. There's a lot of things, and these, you don't have to do that. They're just a constant. They bring in the unpleasant energy and send out good stuff, you know, and it's just awesome. And so that, I feel like, alleviates a little bit of that background fear of like, how can I with all of this stuff, and shows you how powerful that you are. That's the point, is that these are tools. They're not requirements. They're not, I have to have this to make this happen. And so as we then learn that we are powerful beings, then we can move into the unknown a little easier without as much fear. You know, like I don't expect that anyone will move into the unknown with complete lack of fear. There's going to be moments, at the very least, right? And that's a conditioned experience that we've had in this, at least just this lifetime, if not multiple lifetimes, of, you know, you have to have this insecurity thing. You have to have this, or this will happen, bad things kind of stuff. And we're moving away from that. You know, how do you teach yourself to fly? That's basically what it feels like we're asking, right? And it's a little bit at a time. But the beginning of it, in some cases, we realize that walking isn't going to work for us anymore, you know? And so every time that I have embraced the unknown, every time that I mean, within reason, you know, I'm not going to walk down an alley at 2 a.m. behind a bar in the middle of the city. I'm not. I'm just not going to do that. You know, that's unknown too, and that can stay unknown over there.
That's being irresponsible.
Yes, there's very big difference. And so, you know, and then, you know, as we do this, though, as we slowly embrace and look in and lean into the unknown, I guess that's the right word, lean into it. We don't even have to walk yet. You get to see that you're okay. And with each, you know, inch or you know, the little bit closer that you get to that experience, the more that you can find out and see, okay, I'm all right, you know, and then move with a little bit more authority, or I don't know. It's a little bit at a time is the point, you know, and remembering to charge yourself, bring in that light, as those things, these fear things, these unknown, oh no kind of stuff often comes in when we haven't fully charged ourselves with the light of God, of source, whatever you want to call spirit, you know, and letting that fill us up, and remembering that is, you know, we are a battery. We are a battery that is a container of light. And the more light that you can take in, the more you can do everything with more ease. And so that's just a place that we've been for a while. So allowing that meditation to happen. You know, Fenya's been bringing up this comment a lot, and honestly, this is a very important moment in our history. You know, we go through these 25,000 year cycles, and the fact that this particular comet is on that cycle of the 50,000 years, and it's here right now, last night, today, you know, it's viewable from some parts of the country, of the world, and it feels like it's bringing in like, hooray, we're here. You know, and all of this experience has been of water, when we've got this big dam up and there's been a trickle, and we've been annoyed that it's taking so long, you know, and as this trickle has been occurring, it's been slowly growing into a massive river of light. And so as this next step is here, the bringing up of that is to say that if you're struggling, now is the time, is the ground is fertile for healing. You know, it's all being brought to you, given to you, so you can work and heal through these things that we've elected to heal through. Like, we're the transmuters. That's our job. We're the transmuting team.
Yeah, like,
right?
Just like the Organites.
Exactly. we're organite.
Yeah, and like also like regarding the whole transmutational stuff, like at the beginning we talked about that, like this maybe like a fear regarding a specific thing. Maybe all of us have like challenges in life, and all of us have like themes that are like reoccurring. Like this can be a relationship stuff, like family things. I don't know, like these are, I think, for most of us are like the main stuff, like family stuff and relationship. And like throughout our lives, like these themes are embodied through different people or like different circumstances. And basically how I see it is like they're a type of like gatekeeper to the next level. So now they're embodying that specific fear in you, so you can see it and you can transform it. And usually whenever we like level up, when we overcome that gatekeeper, or like, I don't know, like, I think it's some other literature, it's like called like conquering the demon of I don't know what, the demon of fear or something like that. Like there is a treasure at the other end of the gate.
Yeah.
You're unlocking something, like a new part of yourself. You're reaching a higher state of being, or maybe you're going to remember stuff. You're going to become more holistic, more peaceful. And yeah, usually it comes with some insights and gifts. Like that's my experience.
Yeah.
When you level up.
And as if it's always been there. It's hard to remember after those gifts were given a time when they weren't there, because they always were. It's just for some reason we were
Like
unable
it was
to
locked.
access.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You forgot it, and it was locked for many different reasons. And like I think like most of us, when you like have a higher perspective, like now, and like looking back in your life, and you say like, hey, like why didn't I do all this stuff in the beginning? Like it would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most of the time, if you think about it, then you will say like, oh, not really. Like probably it would have complicated life even more if you were to know all these things.
Right. Would we have taken the steps to get to this point if we knew? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's all a video game, just like you said. You can't, if you skip the tutorial and try to jump to level 100 without ever having played the game, I mean, what's that going to look like for you? And that's what all of these are. The word that they're using is octave instead of step, but it's the same thing. The step of an octave because spirit is, and all the higher realm stuff to me is very melodic. There's music, it's melody, it's song,
sound, vibration, resonance, and color.
Yes. And these octaves are steps. They're the one leads you to the other. And the thing that I've always struggled with, honestly, is that once I rest my foot onto a new octave, onto a new step, I assume that it's time to move forward to the next step. And there's a whole process of putting your weight onto that step and understanding that your balance is correct on that step. And sometimes I'm taking 3 steps up, and then it's like, oh, I'm back down 1, but I still made 2 steps forward, and so allowing that, and it's okay going up and down that experience. That's something else to point out. That's kind of a thing for me too, is that I always thought we would move up our vibration like this. Like, that seems regular, right? That would be nice, but that's not what happens. So here's a vibrational state we're getting to, and it's more like this, and so, and you see, there is motion to this point, and it's getting there. It's just, there's these, and sometimes the dips feel a little bit lower, and that's not you descending. That's moving through and pulling away from densities, energies, things that you've been connected to in your team body, these parasites that have helped you until now. We have to leave behind those things. And so we're sensing this departure experience as well. So, I can't emphasize enough to be patient and gentle with yourself, and that don't be discouraged. You're doing a good job. Don't give up. It's hard, especially if you, like Guardian said, you've recently come into this awakening experience. Guardian and I have a little bit more experience. And so we've had a gradual movement toward this, and it's still jarring for me, honestly.
Yeah, like I had a crash course too, so I didn't have it easy. I know my first 2-3 years.
Right. You had a profound sudden alteration in mind and body, didn't you?
Yeah, like in days or weeks, I changed like 180 degrees. Yeah, wow. My guides didn't give me any resting time or chances to like deviate from this path.
Oh my God. Yeah, they're like, keep him going.
Yeah, like keep him going. Like, yeah, it was not easy, but yeah, it was very much worth it too. So it was kind of scary in the beginning, but after a while, I was okay. Yeah, but basically, the reason why it was scary in the beginning, like all those crazy astral experiences, and I couldn't sleep at night because always something happened when I put my ass into bed. Basically, some weird events just unfolded, and basically all those were there to push me to overcome my fears, basically. And after I did, the whole scary stuff just stopped, basically. Like all those like so-called negative and scary aspects just disappeared and moved out of my experience. Like I filtered through that. So that's the reason, I guess, like in part why they were like pushing it so much, so I can like get over that threshold.
Yeah.
And I think many of us, if you're like in the awakening journey, then you also have to get over your fear of stuff. It doesn't mean that you won't be afraid ever in life of anything. The only difference is like you're going to deal with it differently, I think, because like we're here on Earth and we're in duality. There are a lot of wonderful stuff in Earth and also horrible things here on Earth. So while we are here, we're going to experience both. It depends on like which end do you lean towards or want to experience more. But yeah, like the only difference is like you're going to learn to deal with it differently. It's not just like it just happens to you and you're a victim of circumstances. Yeah. You're like actively participating in it and like overcoming it. And it doesn't have to be a scary experience.
Right.
And yeah, it can be like in the middle parts when you're like transitioning out of it, if you're like, I don't know, like in your thoughts, you just kind of like touch that place that it was scary, like, oh my God, like just imagine all the things that can happen to me if I do that or something. Yeah. Like when you're like experimenting with like being in the fear, but like transitioning out of it, like that took me quite a few years to manage that kind of.
Oh yeah.
It would, yeah, like it was not very easy, but I did it. I think I had like at the end of last year, a very odd and exciting experience. Like since we moved here in the house, I haven't really had many astral experiences, thank God. So most I have good night's sleep. So I'm very happy about that after 10 years of having non-stop weird stuff.
Yeah.
So I had like one night I was like woken up. Of course, this was energetically, I was still sleeping. I think my body in those states is like asleep, but your mind is awake. That's how it works. And basically I was sitting up in my bed and like all these dark beings were like closing in around me. There were like circles upon circles around me. And for some reason, I remembered in that state the spell to freedom of mind. And I called upon all the archangels and I'm like, okay, like hold light in me and like free me of the night and all the bad stuff. And like they were just closing in around me. I was just sitting there peaceful in the middle of my bed. And I was like, I'm perfectly fine. Like I'm perfectly safe and I'm okay. And I was anchoring this like super peaceful state in myself, and they just left.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can be in a place of love.
Yeah. If you can, I didn't have to kick them out or anything.
Yeah. Once you realize it, there's a point that we come to have realized that the boogeymen are just like annoying little brothers hiding behind the couch trying to jump out to startle you. You know, it's not even a thing. There's another point too that I've found is that all of these things that they feel like attacks or energetic difficulties that happen with these lower vibrational, lower frequency, I don't know what you want to call these energies, as they come in, they're actually helping us. It sounds contrary, though. It's very similar to that barbaric custom in the old days when a baby was born. They'd hold the baby upside down and slap its butt to get it to cry, and that way it would take its first breath. They used to do that, and though perhaps it wasn't required or needed, that's something that it is the example, the only one I can really think of right now, to get you to then realize that you have this particular spiritual muscle that you've never used in this incarnation before, at least not with intention, like that moment of like finding the how to sit in your own resonance, how to be in your own experience. And all things can on the outside are just like boo, boo. It doesn't actually do anything for you. And the other thing is that if you can send love to it, send love out to it. And that love, if it is of love, it will answer back with love. And if it is not of love, it will flee. Like it's a repellent that you can like spray on these energies. You know, they can't stand before the light. Shadow cannot stand before the light. They can't. Fear and love cannot exist on the same plateau. And so when you present that love energy, that peace and that calm that comes with it, you're impenetrable. I didn't say that right, but you are completely
impenetrable. Yeah. Yeah, and also like Colin said, the cool stuff like fear, yes, but not fear of fear. What would a roller coaster ride be without fear? Yeah, like I think like that's a good example. Like the roller coaster, I think you have to be like completely numb in your mind to be like I'm not in the fear state, but like that excitement of like, oh my God, like this is exciting or exhilarating, like all those ups and downs and quick turns, but you know you're going to be all right. So you don't have this fear for your life, like what happens if we like fall off in the next round or something. I'm going to fall to my death. But I mean, it's still exciting and like it makes your blood boil maybe, but you know you're going to be all right.
Right.
Okay, so Nasus, how do you kick darkness out of your home? Yeah, like doing protection work, like you can also research that is like really good to not to let them in the first place. It's like one of the best steps to take. And also like doing as much work on yourself and clearing on yourself. So you basically don't, I wouldn't say like invite them in, but the more you do work on yourself, the less likely it is that you will attract them in your life experience, basically. Or if they do come in, they won't really have anything on you, or they won't really have the opportunity to get to you so easily because you have kind of worked out all those stuff. But yeah, like like just as you said, that when you feel that something is around or something is off, then yeah, like say, hey, I don't want to participate in this, and I absolutely do not want you to be around me, my family, my home, so leave. Yeah. And yeah, like you were also talking about Archangel Michael and Mother Mary. They're both in blue. Like that's a great protective energy. And yeah, like check out some stuff with Archangel Michael. Like he's the #1 guy to go for protection. And like kicking out beings that you don't want to hang around in your home or in your field too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like work with Archangel Michael. He's amazing.
And he always brings a joke in the end, I find. To me, he's like the silly uncle that wants you to pull his finger, like as well, and it's a beautiful energy. There's been a bunch of examples of things to do that people have written as well that I really agree with, if you don't mind me giving an example of something else to do, is that okay?
Yes.
One of the things, so all of this stuff, saging, removing your consent, a lot of this stuff is implied consent because we haven't said no. We haven't said this isn't okay, and so And so there's that. But the other thing that I found, I sage, I do all kinds of sound bowl stuff. Like that's mostly just for me to feel like balance and stuff. To remove stuff, what I tend to do, the most important for me is that in that meditation space, breathing in the light of God down through me, as I breathe in through my nose. When I breathe out through my mouth, I create a bubble of white light. Like, and I continue to cycle that. And that white light can expand as far as you want it to. I've had it to where I've expanded it past the boundaries of my neighborhood and my town. It's kind of cool, you know, and you can take it along with you in your car. You can have it be a bubble that follows your whole car. Doing that, what I find is, because it's love. That's love. That white light is love. Love is light and light is love. There's no separating the two. And as I'm doing that, I'm pushing out all things that don't vibrate in that same resonance, you know, and all things that do can stay. It really does just push them out. And I find that works not just for these energies that you can't see, but also the energies associated with physical beings in your life, people, neighbors, things like that. They won't come when that bubble's there. It really pushes them out
or
too.
They just want to leave for some reason.
Yeah, they're really uncomfortable and get panicky and sweaty and
they just have to leave all the time. I had that too a few times.
It's fun.
And also Earthed Energetic Healing. Do you have a YouTube channel with that name?
He's got a great YouTube channel, Light Language channel.
Really? I have to check it out. Okay, thank you for mentioning that. Said that, hey, like some people mentioned salt and saging, and these are like old tools that basically require something that is outside of us. So it's not coming from within us, and like you can run out of salt and sage and all that. And yeah, like the most potent thing that you can do, what you said is like the energy that comes from within you and what you call in, like that love within yourself. And also Archangel Michael is the #1 thing to do. And also like on a side note, like sage, crystals and all that, like that kind of works with like lower nasty stuff, but the real big guys don't care about smoke or crystals. They just step over. So that's where you need your own energy and Archangel Michael and all the magical stuff that you can do. Like they don't care about crystals or smoke or that, like, but they respect spiritual energy and mental focus and all that.
Yeah. And just to know that you're a very powerful being. You're a being of light, a sovereign fractal of God. And, knowing that you're powerful, that you get to decide, sovereignty is key. Yes. And knowing that it
but you have to know it and own that energy.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And that is, it takes a little while to do that. There's a bunch of different tools, and though just, we've talked about a lot of them, just practicing. And as you see the result in front of you, it's easier to stand in that power, because then you're not just doing it on faith, you're doing it with knowledge. At that point, you have proof.
Yeah, you know that it works. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so in closing, do you wish to share something, higher vibrations?
Yeah, we do regular Zoom meetings every week, twice a week, and our next one's tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you click the link to go to my channel, you'll find the link for that meeting in my community section.
It's in the title of the video, so you can go there right now.
Yeah, thank you. And then it's a new link for every meeting. So Fridays don't have the same link. It's a new link for each to clear the energy. So if you want to come back, please just check my community section and I will have posted the link each time. So thank you.
Awesome. Check it out. It's like a great space because it's like not recorded or broadcast. Yeah. Just can hang out with like-minded people.
Yeah, just a bunch of starseeds, people on this journey, comparing notes and just being in a place where you're able to use your throat chakra, expand your throat chakra and speak your truth without any kind of concern for consequence for being yourself. We love you there.
Yeah, we're all weird. So
Yes.
speaking of weird, like if anyone is interested tomorrow, or no, I think for you guys in America, it's going to be today and in the evening, we're going to have a live channeling session on the Patreon community. Well, I'll be channeling my guides during the Zoom meeting. So if you're interested, then you can find it, a link in the description below. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, High Vibrations, for your awesome knowledge, and hope to see everyone next week, and have a beautiful full moon. Bye.